Hello there, and welcome back to the real podcaster of Alistry, and for a special edition of the Podcouch. So you'll notice the main difference is the fact that I'm here on the Podcouch on my own, which feels really bizarre actually. It's a bit strange. I did have the dog here with me, but that didn't go so well, so I've put him out and started the recording again. But yeah, it feels a bit weird and a bit lonely actually. But yeah, I'm here on my own for a bit of a special edition of the Podcouch. Sorry, I've got like these leathery PVC type trouser things on, and I'm just aware that every time I move, they're squeaking and the mic's probably picking it up, so I'm sorry about that if that is the case. But yeah, so just here for a bit of a special version of the podcast. So you might have seen a couple of weeks ago I did a bit of an Ask Me Anything on the podcast Instagram page, and I got a few questions through, so thank you so much. And I thought I'd do just a bit of a different addition to the podcast, just to mix things up a little bit, and give you guys a bit of an insight into me, the host of the podcast, and just answer a few of your burning questions. Well, I don't know if they're quite burning questions, but yeah, just answer a couple of your questions really. So we'll get into it. It does feel really weird. I feel like I need to be kind of directing myself that way, but no, I'll direct myself this way. So yeah, let's get into it. So I've got the questions on my phone, so I'm not just kind of sat here scrolling on my phone if you wonder what I'm doing. But yeah, I've got the questions on my phone here, so let's make a start. So first question, there were a couple of questions that were similar, so I've sort of consolidated those a little bit. And there was a couple of questions. There was a question that I left out. But yeah, hopefully I'll ask most of your questions. The one that I left out was who was the least favourite podcast that you did, and I thought, oh no, I don't want to answer that, so I've left that one out. But yeah, so I've consolidated a few, so here we go. So the first question is, where did you get the idea from to do the podcast? So I have actually, I've answered this a couple of times in a couple of the other podcasts, and I did a bit of an intro to the podcast like ages ago when it first came out, which kind of answers the question. But basically, because I love listening to podcasts, I just kind of had this idea that I'd like to try my hand at doing my own podcast. But I was like thinking, I don't know what the theme would be. Like, I don't know what it would be that I would talk about. I was kind of going to do it more about kind of what I do for my job and a bit like that sort of thing. But then I kind of was weighing up the pros and cons, and I thought, no, probably not that. I had a couple of ideas. But I was just kind of thinking, right, what's the theme? Like, what's the thing? I was waiting for it, for the ideas to flow. And then I was literally just sat picking my son up from college one day. I was a bit early, so I was just kind of sat there waiting. And the idea literally just pinged to me, which was to have people on the Podcouch who have got businesses or doing great things in the local area, so Alistry or the surrounding areas, and just talk to them a little bit, find out a bit about them. What do they do? Where did the idea come from? How did they get into it? And just not only find out about the local businesses that we've got around here, but the people behind the businesses, and find out a little bit more about them, which is something that we don't really see when you get your little book through the post or the little Alistry book, those sorts of things. I thought it'd be really nice to kind of bring it to life a little bit and find out a bit about the people behind the business. So that is where the idea come from, and it was literally, I would say, as simple as that. It took, once I decided I wanted to do a podcast, it took a few weeks just to kind of think about what the topic, what the theme, what it was going to be about. But then once I got that idea, I was away. I kind of sent a few messages to a few different people that I know and sort of said, would it be something that you'd be interested in? And I got a really great kind of response, and people were like, yeah, absolutely, that's such a great idea. So I thought, right, well, I'm gonna have to do it now. So I kind of did it, and that's where it all came from. What do you love most about the podcast? So I think for me, it has been just meeting people, and hearing all about kind of their journeys, their ideas, like how they do whatever it is that they do. I'm quite a people person. I'm interested in people. So I think my favourite thing about the podcast has just been meeting all the amazing people that I've had on the couch and just hearing their stories. I just think it's been so interesting. Well, I've found it interesting. I hope you guys have too. But yeah, I think that has been the thing that I've loved most about the podcast, just meeting all those new people, which has been great. I love the pod couch. Where is it from? I had a couple of those questions, which I just found really funny. Yeah, I love it too. So this is just, the pod couch is just DFS. It's one of those Jules ranges. I'm kind of looking around the room. I know you can't see it, but so I've got the 2-seater here. I've got like a big kind of like love seat or whatever you call it, one of those big oversized armchairs, and then I've got a foot puff over there as well, all in this like orangey kind of corally colour, like velvety colour, which is my all-time favourite colour. Anything orange or coral, I'm just completely drawn to it. So yeah, DFS, Jules, gorgeous, love it, dead comfy, feel like I'm on commission now. And it's old, it's a few years old, but we don't use this room very much, so it still feels like quite a new sofa. So yeah, that's where it's from. Good question, that did make me laugh. Is this podcast your main job? No, in short, it isn't my main job, unfortunately, because I've loved doing the podcast and it doesn't feel like work really at all. It's been great fun. I've really, really enjoyed it. But no, unfortunately, this is not my main job because it doesn't provide any income at all. I do have a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job. So no, this is just a little extra hustle. Who has been your favourite guest on the pod? So the question I cut out was, who was your least favourite guest? But I thought, no, we won't go there. There isn't a least favourite. We'll keep it all positive. But who has been your favourite guest? That's a hard one because I haven't got a favourite guest. They've all been incredible. They have all carved time out of their mad, busy schedules or businesses, jobs, to come and join me on the podcast, which has just been brilliant. So they've all been great. I haven't had a favourite. They've all been so different as well, which was my hope, to have like really different sort of businesses and people on the podcast sharing their different journeys. So that's been amazing. So I haven't got a favourite because they have all been just fabulous, really, really fabulous. I think the first podcast obviously is special because it was the first one. It was my friend. So I had Georgie here who owns Energy Studios. It was the most fun afternoon ever. It was my first one. So we were learning together. We had technology challenges. We had to stop and start a few times. But we had the best fun. We had a lot of laughs. We were fueled by Prosecco, if I remember rightly. So it was just great fun. And because it was my first one, it was just, well, they've all been exciting, but it was just super exciting because I didn't really know how it was going to go. And it was a big learning curve, not just during, but also after all of the editing and stuff like that. So I think that stands out because it was like momentous. But yeah, I haven't really got a favourite. That was just special because it was my first one, but they've all been special. They've all been fabulous. I've had some great guests on the pod. Have you ever been a guest on a podcast? No, I haven't. I suppose this is kind of, well, it's a bit weird because I'm kind of interviewing myself, but I suppose I am a guest on this podcast for today. But no, I've never been on a podcast myself. I don't know, would I want to? I'm not sure. I'm quite interested in people, and I like finding out about people. I like chatting to people. I'm interested and kind of I just enjoy chatting to people about them. I'm kind of one of those people where, you know, when you go out in a group and you kind of go around chatting about everyone, I sort of leave myself till the end in hope that we don't get around to me and I can just go off without of having to, you know, talk about myself. So would I like to be a guest on the podcast? I'm not sure. I probably feel more comfortable this side asking the questions, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see. I don't really say no to too much. So, you know, if it ever happened, then amazing. Paul Brunson, you know, Abby Clancy, if you're listening, I'm more than happy to make an exception for you guys. You seem good at asking questions. How do you do this? Well, thank you. I suppose in my job, I am trained in the art of asking questions, you know, in a good positive way. So I've learned how to ask, you know, open questions, closed questions, funnel questions to really kind of find out information about people and to be able to open people up, maybe who don't find it that easy to talk. So I am kind of trained in that for many, many years, and I've been doing it for many, many years. God, I sound like I'm like a special agent or in the MI5 or something. I'm not. I'm a therapist. I work in mental health. So I am used to trying to extract really important information from people. Although I would love to work for the MI5. I think I'd be good at that. But no, I think that's where it comes from. I'm kind of trained to do it. And I am just really interested in people. I'm quite naturally curious. I like asking questions. I like finding out about people. I don't know. Does that make me nosy? I'm not sure. I'm not nosy. But I just love people, and chatting to people, finding out new things, learning from people. So I think it's a bit of a mixture I am trained to be able to interview and assess and extract information from people, but also I just love people and I'm quite curious. So I think it's like a combination really, but thank you for saying that. How do you decide what to ask people, as each pod asks different questions, which is good? Yeah, it is good. Obviously, you've got your general questions that you ask, you know, tell me about yourself. How did you get into doing what you do? Where did the idea come? Like those general kind of questions that are fairly quite standard that I would ask every guest. But I suppose I do, when I know who I've got coming on the pod, I would do research into them, into kind of their business, finding out kind of what they do, how long they've been established, you know, that sort of thing, and what their business is, what their niche thing is that they offer. And then I will kind of tailor-make questions to suit that. So there are the same questions that I would ask people, but hopefully there are a few different ones as well because it's unique to that person. So I suppose the answer to the question is just by doing some research, knowing who I've got on and what they offer, and then trying to think of some really interesting questions around that I would be interested to find out, and hopefully you guys too. So yeah, I think it's just knowing who it is, doing a bit of research, and then sort of thinking outside the box of what interesting questions might be good to ask. What would you do if you won the lottery? Big time. So that must be millions and millions. I know who's put that question in because we do talk about it quite often. Yeah, so I mean, I'd love to say, you know, groundbreaking stuff. And of course, I would, you know, if I won millions and millions on the lottery, I would obviously donate loads of money to different charities, different research projects that are doing groundbreaking stuff. Of course, that would be an absolute privilege. But I suppose also I would just do all the fun stuff as well, you know, holidays, shopping, treating friends and family, spoiling the kids, paying off people's mortgages so they don't have that stress, and just have fun and enjoy it. Oh God, yeah, it's such a great thing to think about, isn't it? It's such a great conversation to have. Yeah, it'd be amazing. Would I carry on working? Honestly, no. I would be phoning in and handing in my notice. And probably have enough money to get out of my contract, so I wouldn't even have to work the notice. So yeah, I'd love to stay here and be like, oh, not much would change, and yeah, I'd still work, but no, absolutely not. I would have an absolute ball, and I'd be too busy having so much fun, and doing some really good work that I wouldn't have to go and do my day job. But yeah, it's nice to dream, isn't it? Although, you've got to be in it to win it. Someone's got to win, so who knows? Who knows? Watch this space. Um, and then the last question, I've purposely left this question to last, which is, where do you hope this podcast will take you? So the reason that I've left this question to last is to sort of open up to talking about kind of what it is that I've come on to talk about, really, which is the fact that this is my last podcast recording. So the real podcaster of Allestree has come to a close. So I suppose answering that question, I didn't hope it was going to take me anywhere, and I didn't want it to take me anywhere as such. It was just a hobby, a new skill to try, just another thing that I've had a go at, and I can say that I've enjoyed, and it's given me some great experience, and I've learned quite a bit along the way, and obviously met great people. But I never had any hopes that it was going to take me anywhere. I didn't think I was going to be the next social media amazing person or anything like that. I just wanted to try a new hobby, have a bit of fun with it, meet some new people, and hopefully get some really interesting content out to you guys for you to enjoy and find out about what we've got going on around in this area. So there was no expectations for it to take me anywhere. When I first started it, I was like, God, if I could get 5 recordings, that'd be amazing. I got them, then it was like, wow, I got 10. And then in the end, I have recorded 18 podcasts, which has been fantastic. So I've had 18 amazing people join me on this couch, which has just been brilliant and beyond anything that I thought it would. And actually, there were more people that did sort of get in touch and asked to come on, and because I'd already made the decision to finish the podcast, unfortunately I didn't get to record with them. That would have been another at least 7 or 8. So it was brilliant, and it took me beyond what I thought it would. I thought maybe just a few episodes, but here we are, 18 episodes later, 18 guests later, almost a year, and it's been amazing. But I didn't hope it would take me anywhere, and it has come to a close now, just for a couple of reasons, really. I started a new job in June, which was kind of, quite a big step, and it's keeping me really, really busy. Still NHS, still mental health, still therapeutic services, should I say, but out of Derbyshire, so a bit more travel, and quite a bit more to the job. So basically my flexibility is a lot less, and I don't really have as much time to put into the podcast as I did when I started, which is great. Work is great and everything, I'm not complaining, but it just means that I can't give the podcast as much time and energy as I was able to do when I first started. And then other stuff going on, in my life, good, all good stuff, but just busy like we all are, and just kind of struggling to really invest the time and energy into the pod that needs investing to make it work and to make the content to keep releasing every couple of weeks. It's just becoming a bit of a challenge now, because obviously, like I said earlier, there's the research there's the finding of the guests, the research into the guests, the actual recording, the editing after, and it does take up quite a bit of time. So I had a bit of a break over the summer and just a bit of time to kind of take stock, and I thought, I'm so happy with the podcast that I've put out there so far. It just feels like the right time. So yeah, that's why I saved that question to last, because it brings me really nicely into what I wanted to share with you guys, which is that this is my last podcast. and it's with me. So I hope it's not been a disappointment, but I really wanted to come on and share with you myself rather than just kind of stopping posting or anything like that. It just felt like the right thing to do. And I also wanted to just take a minute to thank all the amazing guests that I've had on the podcast. It's just been fantastic. You guys have trusted in me to be able to do a good job, so you can share your story and know that it's really well received and that I'm going to do a good job in getting it out there. You've taken time out of your really busy schedules yourself, out of your work, out of your businesses to come and join me on the podcast. And honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet each and every one of them. It was just fantastic. And I really, really appreciate it, because if I hadn't have had any guests, there wouldn't have been a podcast and there wouldn't have been a podcast. So I'm just so thankful for all of my guests for coming on and being really open and really honest and sharing their story and having some laughs along the way. So thank you so much. And last but not least, thank you to you guys. Thank you for tuning in every couple of weeks and listening to the newest podcast. Thank you for your feedback. Thanks for all your engagement. So every little like that you've given me, every share, every time I go onto YouTube and I can see that another person has listened to the podcast, every message that you've sent me saying what you liked about the podcast or what made you laugh, every time you've shared the word and someone said to me, oh, you're the podcast person, someone told me to listen to it, it just meant the absolute world to me. It made it all like that was what I wanted. I wanted to do that and just have some fun with it, and it's been really well received and really well supported. So thank you for every follow, every like, every share of my story. I'm just really, really touched by it, and I really, really appreciate all the support and for not kind of laughing at me like, oh my God, what crazy, like my friends, what crazy idea is she coming up with now? Just kind of accepting it and going with it and being behind me and like, yeah, you go for it, girl. You do a podcast if you want to do a podcast. So thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, this is the last episode. It's been a journey and I've enjoyed every single episode of it. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And who knows what comes next. Thanks, guys.